Welcome back to the Odd Machine Factory. In the latest video on the channel you can see that we were driving on the icetrack with the drift legacy and we ran into some clutch issues there. So we lost our power transmission totally and then we had to be towed out of the track. But after a while, I regained the power transmission and actually could drive the car. So it was a bit of a mystery what had happened there. I actually think that this was quite a positive thing that it happened during the winter, because then we had some time to react and our summer season didn't get ruined by it. And I've been working quite much, doing some real work quite much, and then I haven't had that much of time to work on this car, as I also wanted to enjoy the winter times as much as possible, because we had quite great icetrack weather here in Finland. So I used my icetrack Mercedes on the track instead of the drift legacy and enjoyed the ice tracks while they lasted. But I managed to find some time to tear the car down to make a solution, figure out what has been the problem first of all, and then of course making the solution for fixing this clutch issue. And as you can see, this is the clutch that we had, the disc that we had in the car. It was burned quite badly. So like I said, we didn't have power transmission at all. And while we were doing some first tests in Ghana in the autumn on dry asphalt with high gears and then large tires, we didn't have any slippage issue there. So it's not a design problem with the dimensions. It has to be something else. And as we lost the transmission but regained it, I thought that maybe there has been some pressure in the line, because it's a hydraulic engagement for the clutch. But actually the problem was this. So I had this release bearing spacer there. And this has had a shrink fit on top of the actual release bearing. But as you can see, the area that I have, the length here, is quite short. And this is a seal. There's like a seal there, and it's actually holding the bearing together. So I probably should have taken a bit of this out, or then welded the spacer on here. But I didn't want to do that, as I was afraid that I will cause the thin metal casing to warp, and then this bearing will break, or then this will slip off and break the bearing again. So it wasn't the best design that I had there, but this was easy to do in the garage, easy to design and build in the garage. So I went that way, and we actually spaced out this release bearing as much as we can from the gearbox housing side, which is of course the best way to do it. But then we ran into a problem that we didn't have any space to run through the hydraulic release line from the housing, gearbox housing. So I had to figure out something else, and this was the next best solution that I thought that will work, and it actually worked as long as this stayed on. So if this drops here, it will of course disengage the clutch, because the whole package is very precisely designed, so that when this is here, there's not that much of room or additional play, and then if this drops here, it will already start disengaging the clutch. So, and then it will release the pressure and burn the clutch disc. But bit of a stupid cheap design, but with little tweaks, maybe that would have worked as well. But now the plan is to get rid of this so that we don't run into the same problem again. We have spaced out this as much as we can, so we cannot bring the release bearing housing outwards unless we modify this piping totally, and it has a restrictor in this line inside this pipe. So of course it would be great to have just a pipe connection here and so on, but then we would need to modify this every single time we buy one. So that's why I did it now this way. We have spaced out the flywheel, and now everything sits nicely there. And why we had this there was that I thought that I was clever. I created like a very thin design for the flywheel, managed to get all the dimensions working with this, so it's quite let's say cost-effective way to design a flywheel. We don't have to machine a lot of the metal out. We can use thin plates from which we built these, and then my friend can make these on his own lathe. So that was the idea behind this. And another idea was that it was supporting the flex plate here. So also the spacing or the distance from the engine was therefore quite small, as I wanted some support for the starter gear as well. But now, like I said, we will get rid of this, and then I designed this spacer here, which is concentric to the crankshaft. So as these engines don't have any pilot bearings, as they have always an automatic gearbox behind the engine, I designed the piece so that it's concentric to the crankshaft, and then it centers also the flywheel onto the spacer, so that should be okay. We have some longer bolts, and then I also have the pilot bearing now in this piece. So it's gonna be just a spacer, and now the flywheel will sit a bit further from the engine, and we will lose, of course, the contact for the starter gear or the flex plate. But I bet that will still work, at least for this season. And as we don't have any other loads than the starter actually engaging the gear. So for the upcoming next season, we can then create a new design where we have a bigger flywheel, which also then supports the starter gear. But didn't want to do that yet. I want to think about my options thoroughly, and then this was easy to do. We just re-machined the surfaces and fixed the old flywheel. But that's the idea. And okay, so I'll show you another reason for the very shallow flywheel, thin flywheel design. So now that I pulled back the flywheel, it's a very, very, very tight spot to reassemble the gearbox or reinstall the gearbox onto the engine. So it's in a very steep angle. The Subaru body is fully stock, and I wanted to keep it that way. So the angle is very steep for the gearbox. Everything is touching everything, and I just barely cleared the clutch pressure plate with the gearbox clutch shaft. So it's hard to see, but it's like millimeters space where you have, or millimeters of plate that you have there to get it there. So I couldn't pull the flywheel any further back, and I don't want to make a thicker flywheel than this one, because it's already quite a pain to get the gearbox there on yourself with, you know, wooden blocks and a jack. So not the best for service, but still doable. And then another update on this clutch side is that we will use the same type of pressure plate again from BMW that was holding nicely the torque that we have, and with the street tires I think it's very, very good, and it was very nice to use with the hydraulic system from Jaguar. So that felt very good, and I want to use the same pressure plate there. But then, as you can see also from the icetrack video, we had a lot of rattle with this single piece on a sprung clutch disc. This was a 6-puck Sintered version. So as we had only roughly 700 Newton meters in the dyno, and we are driving with the street tire, I decided that I will go with a traditional clutch plate with a sprung centerpiece. So this is a 240 millimeter Mercedes clutch disc, and the reason is that I want the clutch to be nice to use, and then I hopefully get rid of the rattling noise also, which was quite dominant in the cabin. So surprisingly, the car is very very quiet from the engine side, even though it has only one silencer in the back, and of course then the Borg-Warner turbo. But other than that, it's still quite quiet. But then the clutch rattling was annoying me quite much while driving the car. So hopefully we will get rid of that with this setup. And the idea is to get this up and running tomorrow. So I test fitted all the pieces, parts, and everything should be good. So I will just pull the car back together and then start planning for a test trip, hopefully quite soon. So I'm trying to now work a little less and use my additional plus hours for building the car and enjoying it on the track as well. So hopefully we will get some new drifting content quite soon. And on top of the power train things, I've been also working on the looks of the car. So I've been practicing some vinyl wrapping on the car. So hopefully we will get some new looks on the car, and I try to also get my artistic view on the car. So we have been playing around with some ideas for graphics on the car. So let's see how that turns out, if I dare to show you at all. But at least the car will be then otherwise wrapped basic black, so that we have like a single colored panels on the car, because now the plastic body panels have been like different color, and that's not very nice. But let's keep that hanging for another episode, and hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content, and hopefully we will get some drift content very soon out with the Drift Legacy, and I then hope to see you in the next video.